You, reveler, come speak with me. Dark tidings are upon us. The Crowborn horror encroaches upon our realm. If it is left alone, it will ultimately pierce the veil and threaten all the inhabitants of Nirn. Whether for altruism or reward, I sense you will be the one to defeat it. A powerful wraith of crows from the Evergloam. Its approach is inevitable. But there is hope. Aspects of the horror are already manifesting in our realm, in the form of cursed feathers that grow upon vile creatures. You must collect these feathers. When you gather enough, you will be able to fashion an effigy of the horror. Once we imbue it with energy from the Evergloam, it will allow you to lure the creature into a pocket realm. There, you will be able to defeat it. Now go! Time is short. You must gather the cursed feathers. They may be found growing upon the most vile creatures throughout Tamriel, and hidden among the feathers of crow-like beings. I sense them everywhere. Once you collect enough to make the effigy, we can begin. They are manifestations of the Evergloam. As the Crowborn horror draws ever near, its energy builds in the form of dark feathers that grow upon creatures like an infection. These feathers won't harm you, however, in case you have any reservations. You don't know? It is Nocturnal's realm, a place of shadows and darkness. It is inhabited by many, but ruled by only one. I am a member of the Witchmother Coven. We venerate the Mistress of Shadows, Nocturnal, and do her bidding. But who we are should be of no concern to you. I enlisted your aid to stop a force that threatens all of Nirn. Allegiances matter little. Is protecting Tamriel not a worthy enough interest? Too clever to believe that, are we? Fine. We plan to draw power from the Crowborn horror once you lure it into the Pocket Realm. It is nothing that concerns you, child. Foolish question. Of course I do. I want a small sliver of its strength. I don't relish the idea of perishing along with the rest of Tamriel if it gets the chance to unleash that kind of power upon us. I am merely taking advantage of an opportunity. We are the seers, the sources of answers, the crafters of questions. We scry for disturbances in the Evergloam, and serve as caretakers in the time of harvest. That is ever-changing, my child. Unknown and unfathomable, who can truly say? If that answer does not satisfy you, you will not find me sympathetic. Once you have enough cursed feathers, you must fashion them into an effigy in the likeness of a wraith of crows. It should be close enough to the Crowborn horror to work. You can do this at any of the workbenches in Olive's brewery. At one of the work areas nearby, use string to bundle the feathers together into the likeness of the Crowborn horror. Once you douse the effigy in a brazier, it will imbue it with energy from the Evergloam and lure the creature to us. You ask too many questions. These braziers are blessed by Nocturnal, ruler of the Evergloam. The flames are fueled by her power. So once you thrust the effigy into the fire, it will absorb the energy of the Evergloam that writhes within. Simple. The effigy must be wrought by your own hands. You would make a frail old woman fight such a being? Ha! Run now to my bench. Pray your work is good enough to pass muster. Well, what of it? Did you craft the effigy? Hand it over, child. Do you have a name, child? Well, I wouldn't sign it on this effigy, but I suppose it will have to do. Now, take it to one of the braziers nearby and douse it in the flames. That will imbue it with power from the Evergloam. Excellent. The effigy now radiates with the call of the Evergloam. Hurry. Place the effigy at a shrine. It will pull the Evergloam closer to our realm, and the Crowborn horror with it. Once the rift opens, enter it and defeat the creature. Indeed, child. While we would not want to draw the Crowborn horror here directly, using the effigy will allow me to control a small area of Evergloam for our purposes. Once the beast is lured in, it will have nowhere to turn. Certainly not. But if we do not do this, the Crowborn horror's destruction will be inevitable. This path may pose some risk, but it's better than the alternative. It must be drawn close enough to be accosted. The Crowborn horror ebbs back. The darkness slinks away like a shadow scorned by the sun. You were successful. I suppose congratulations are in order. Yes, well done and all that drivel. Sadly, the Crowborn horror is a creature of habit. Given its nature, it will likely return at some point. I will continue scrying for its presence, in case we need to draw it out again. For now, take this. You saved Nirn from a most horrid fate, at least for the moment. Driving the Crowborn horror farther back into the Evergloam will at least stave its ambition for now. But if it encroaches upon our realm again, I will call on you. Those of my coven are always peering into the cauldron, scrying for signs of weal or woe. It is our way. We sensed the encroachment of this entity as we listened to the whispers of the Evergloam, but we have yet to determine how it was summoned. Yes, creatures such as this are usually content to reside in the Evergloam, never turning their sights on Nirn. And it can be no coincidence that Nocturnal's summoning day has just passed. You don't know? It is Nocturnal's holy day, the 3rd of Hearthfire. It is the day we are able to summon her to Nirn. Perhaps something else was brought along with the Night Mistress. Ah, child. Come, I have news. Ah, child, I'm glad you returned. The Crowborn horror approaches once more. Its essence plagues Tamriel. If you have the courage to drive it back again, I have need of your aid. The Crowborn horror encroaches once more, as I predicted. You fought valiantly to push it back, but it is in the creature's nature to return. More cursed feathers have begun to sprout in Tamriel. Gather them just like before. Do not delay. The Crowborn horror must be defeated, or it will inflict its destruction upon Nirn. Gather the cursed feathers to form the effigy. If you are clever, you will have no trouble finding them, and I have no doubt of your fighting prowess. Yes, good. A fine enough effigy you have made. It must be imbued with the Evergloam fires created by the Crow Mothers. Take it to a brazier here in the brewery and douse it in the flames. That will give it the power to attract the Crowborn horror. Ah, I see your skill has improved. Very nice indeed. Your fingers have the feel for it now. It's better. You've learned something. Not much, but something. You know what to do now. Imbue the effigy in a nearby brazier.